Hello there, welcome to CNR Extra, coming to you live from our studios at number 5, Ola Hansen Lane, Tesano, Accra. My name is Philip Nihilate. Coming up. Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAG, suspends strike after meeting with government.
In view of the commitment from the government of Ghana, JUSAG, in consultation with Senior Staff Association, SAGU, and other relevant stakeholders, hereby resolved to suspend the ongoing strike for a period of 2 weeks ending on the 12th June 2023.
Authors and Publishers Association apologizes for misleading textbook as NACA calls for immediate withdrawal.
We accept in good faith the criticism of all stakeholders and render unqualified apology to the Ministry of Education, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, Ghanaian Schools, Nananom, the Christian Council of Ghana, and any Ghanaian who might find these statements quite misleading.
Interior Minister urges police to swiftly apprehend perpetrators of attack on immigration officers in Boko.
I urge the Ghana Police Service to expedite efforts in the investigation to bring the perpetrators to the crime to book. On this note, I congratulate the newly promoted officers and reiterate government's commitment to resource the Ghana Immigration Service to perform its legal mandate.
And later on, CNR Extra, Lajokuku Municipal Assembly commences rehabilitation of inner roads in Teshi following agitation from residents over bad roads.
The problem of our roads is on the way to being solved. We have the solution. We are asking for patience and public cooperation. We expect that over the next 6 months, significant work will be done on these roads to ensure their completion.
Once again, welcome to CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Philip Nihilate. I'm here with Jude Mensah Duncan. Hello, my boss. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Philip.
You can join us via our phone lines, rather our WhatsApp line, that is 0204 447033. Also, we are streaming live on YouTube, on CityTube. You can join us there. Let's bring you the very first story, and let's bring you that of what the pensioner bondholders are saying, that they are ready to picket again, and that is going to happen on June 1, 2023.
The Pensioner Bondholders Forum is set to resume picketing at the Finance Ministry on June 1st, 2023. After a week of protests, the pensioners suspended the picketing following a meeting with the Finance Ministry where government pledged to pay all outstanding coupons with a promise to engage on a pathway for the payment of principals. Now, according to the group, the government has failed to keep its promise, hence the decision to resume picketing. Charles Owusu-Kumi has the rest of the story.
3 weeks ago, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum began picketing again at the Finance Ministry. This time, they were demanding for the payment of all the outstanding coupons and principals. On the last day of the picketing protest, the Finance Ministry convened a meeting where they invited leadership of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. In that meeting, government promised that it was going to pay all the outstanding coupons, but for the principals, government needed more time to have discussions around the principals. So the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, they suspended this picketing, knowing that government was going to pay all these outstanding coupons, including coupons that matured on the 15th of May. But we're getting indication that on Thursday, 1st June, the pensioners are going back to picketing at the Finance Ministry. So we asked Dr. Eduana Nyentri, the convener for the group, why they are going back to picketing.
Week starting 15th, the ministry started paying all the coupons. But we had also written to the ministry that we wanted to meet them that week and finalize whatever agreement we have to reach with them on the payment of the coupons or the principal. So we gave the ministry up to 19th to try and let us have that. We didn't receive any response from the ministry. The ministry didn't invite us to the meeting. Then the week ended. Then the next week, which was 22nd, we realized that the ministry hadn't paid 2 of the coupons, which was the ones due on 15th, as promised that they were going to pay all up to 15th. They haven't paid. And they have also invited us to do the discussion on the principal. So we wrote another letter on the 22nd to the ministry. And on the 22nd, another coupon also was due. So the coupons has become 3. Then we say they should pay the 3 coupons outstanding immediately. And they should engage us on the principals that week. We gave another week, ending 29th, and said if they don't do those things, then we will resume the picketing. We've waited. 29th has come last Friday. We haven't heard anything at all from the ministry. The 3 coupons that are still remaining unpaid, nothing has been said about that. It's not being paid. The meeting to decide on how to pay the principals has also not been called. They haven't called anybody. They haven't even responded to the letters that we have written. I will say, well, we should have even resumed the picketing last week because we said if you don't, we are going back. We stopped because we said we are going to do this. That is why we suspended. So we have informed the police that if it doesn't work, we'll come back. So we wrote to the ministry, the police last Friday, that we will be resuming the picketing from Thursday.
Dr. Duana Nyantwi also expressed disappointment about government's attitude towards the pensioners.
I don't understand why, you see, people, if you are in authority, at least you are there because of human beings. And courtesy demands that when people have written you a letter, no matter how it is, just respond. Tell them, I've received your letter and I'm working on it. Simple, just a letter. You know, so because if somebody wastes his time to write to you and you don't respond, then you ask yourself, is it that you think you are not supposed to respond, or you are too busy that you can't respond, or you think that this is not necessary?
On Thursday, June 1, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum will be gathering again at the Finance Ministry from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., hoping that this protest will force government's hand to pay these 4 outstanding coupons and also provide a pathway to the settlement of the 4 outstanding principals. For Citi News, my name is Charles Osukumi.
So the pensioner bondholders are saying that they would picket until government heeds to their concerns. You know, they've had a meeting with the finance minister, with the deputy finance minister, with a number of stakeholders in the finance space, and they are saying that government must at least redeem its image by paying them what is due them. And they are saying that if this is not done, they are going to picket until they get the results. This morning I was watching an interview that Dr. Eduana Nyantwi had on Metro TV, that is Good Morning Ghana, and he made mention of the fact that the picketing has yielded some results, though they are hoping that government will be able to pay them what is due them. But what do you make of it? They've been picketing for a very long time, and it looks like all the arrangement that government have made, or all the concerns that government has to bring on board, hasn't yielded any fruit or results.
I mean, there's no doubt that the picketing by the pensioner bondholders has yielded some positive results in the past. I mean, from the days of voluntary inclusion or voluntary inclusion or not, I mean, as to whether they were going to be part of the whole debt exchange program. They started this, it got support from the former Chief Justice. I mean, so there's no doubt that it's, at the very least, it brought their concerns to the national fore. All media were reporting the picketing that was ongoing there. So I think to a large extent, it's gotten some positive mileage. But that notwithstanding, they are still facing the government, or they still have to deal with the government and the finance ministry, who appear very clear in their minds what they want to do, and in my view have taken their stance on it already, and it seems like nothing is going to change, especially with all the other conditionalities that they have to deal with in face or as a result of the IMF bailout package that was agreed not too long ago. So it's a very difficult situation to be in. But if you listen to Dr. Edu Ananientwi, I mean, he's the convener for the pensioner bondholders. You can sense the frustration in his interview with our colleague Charles, in that they write a letter to the finance ministry and there's no response whatsoever, no acknowledgement of the letter, no official government response. And I understand that that can be very, very frustrating for a group who are protesting the release of their own funds. And I think it's become a problem that has been quite common with this government. So not too long ago, when JUSAG, before they embarked on the strike, they mentioned that they had a meeting, right? They extended an invitation to governments to just bring a rep to come and even listen to their concerns. And there was no show from government whatsoever.
On that JUSAG note,
I mean, it's become an issue where it's like every now and then government appears to not show up.
Rightly
exactly.
So we just hope and pray that the various stakeholders, that is the government, that is the finance ministry, would at least have another talks with the pensioner bondholders so that they don't go to the picketing grounds come June 1. But let's go straight to the JUSAG one. And the exciting news is that the members of JUSAG have suspended the 2-week strike, or the strike they embarked on. Let's bring you that insert.
The Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAG, has suspended its strike following a meeting with the government over their conditions of service. Now, JUSAG last week, Thursday, May 25th, embarked on an indefinite strike to demand the approval of a new and improved salary structure for its members for 2023 and 2024. Now, the strike has been suspended for 2 weeks to allow for negotiations and make the necessary arrangements for payment of the reviewed salaries and allowances due JUSAG members. We have more in this report filed by Citi News' Anne Shirley Zero.
Courtrooms across Ghana were left empty on Monday, May 29, as members of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana's strike enters day 3. JUSAG last week, Thursday, May 25, embarked on an indefinite strike to demand the approval of a new and improved salary structure for its members for 2023 and 2024. This brought justice delivery to a standstill. The strike by the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana has entered day 3, and we are here at the Law Court Complex to see how that is panning out. I've been able to interact with a security personnel here who has been telling me that some clients have been coming in, but they've been turning them away, telling them that there's a strike ongoing. They also did mention that in the first and second day of the strike, they had judges and lawyers coming in. But for today, which is day 3, there's no judge here yet, and there's no lawyer as well. And then the clients have been just like 1 or 2, and they've told them to go home because there's a strike ongoing. We'll check other courts buildings around the capital to see how the strike is also going in those sites. The atmosphere was not different at the premises and office of the Supreme Court, the Kaneshi Circuit Court and Ijabin Circuit Court. The usual bars which characterize these court buildings were missing, as their registry were empty, as well as their car parks. However, after hours of a meeting between JUSAG and government, represented by the Office of the President, Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, the strike was suspended. The strike was suspended to allow for negotiation processes to begin between the two parties. President of JUSAG, Samuel Afote Otu, spoke after the meeting and called on their members to immediately return to work.
In view of the commitment from the government of Ghana, JUSAG, in consultation with CNR Staff Association, SAJU, and other relevant stakeholders, hereby resolved to suspend the ongoing strike for a period of 2 weeks ending on the 12th June 2023. Staff are to report to work tomorrow, Tuesday, 30th May 2023, to carry out their normal duties. We wish to inform the government that JUSAG shall not be able to entertain any undue delay beyond the timelines given. The processes for the approval of the new salaries must complete and payment made to staff in the month of June 2023. The ongoing strike be suspended for 2 weeks to pave way for engagement among parties in order to fast-track the consideration, approval, and payment of the new salaries in the month of June 2023.
They also called on government to show the needed commitment in the negotiation process or risk them returning to the strike.
The strike is only suspended but not called off. If government does not show the needed commitment, we shall advise ourselves. We wish to express our appreciation to the acting Chief Justice, the incoming Chief Justice, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, and all stakeholders for their intervention.
So JUSAG says that the strike has been suspended but not called off. And yesterday they came out with a statement. In that statement, stated that the strike has been put on hold for 2 weeks to pave way for engagement amongst parties in order to fast-track the consideration, approval, and payment of the new salaries in the month of June 2023. Basically, the strike happened as a result of the approval and the payment of the new salaries, which they say hasn't taken effect.
I mean, it's welcoming news. I mean, if you don't.
But the caution there is suspended, not called off. So if government doesn't hit to its cause, they'll definitely come back.
Definitely.
Again.
If government defaults in the negotiation process, then you know that the strike will be recalled. And like I said, it's welcoming news. It shows the good faith JUSAG all through the process have shown in their demands for what they call better salaries and better working conditions. I mean, I've always maintained that if you listen carefully to the position of JUSAG in all of this, I mean, it wouldn't have gotten to this point if government had shown the same level of commitment in the beginning, right? And for me, like I said, it's very important that we have a very functioning court. You have a very functioning, because like the ramifications are there. I mean,
exactly.
And we don't want to get to that state as a country. It has very severe consequences, even on our democracy as a people. So I want to commend JUSAG and its leadership for being open to negotiating with government. In the past, we've seen some groups who don't even want to listen at all. All they want is just pushing for their demand. But they've shown some good faith. They've shown some love for country in their attempts to go back to the drawing table. My only concern and worry is that government will show the same level of dedication and commitment in the negotiation period.
That's nice. But let's cross over to my colleague in the newsroom, Akosia Ochre, who is stationed at, she's visited some of the courts to check if justice delivery has resumed following the suspension of the strike by members of JUSAG. Akosia Ochre, good morning. And where are you at the moment? What can you tell us about the strike that the members have called off?
All right, Philip, I'm currently at the Human Rights Court complex here at just right behind the Supreme Court. And usually the busy precincts of the various law courts in Accra was disrupted a few days ago as a result of the ongoing strike by JUSAG. But I can confirm that from our checks, the Judicial Staff Association have resumed work amidst the suspension of the strike. We know that yesterday, Monday, there was a meeting between the Judicial Service staff and, of course, the Attorney General and also the incoming Chief Justice, that's Justice Gertrude Tokeno, and also the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And so they had a meeting and they agreed to the table that there's going to be a consideration of their call for review of salaries and other issues that they have been raising. And so when I came here, indeed, I saw a number of the members of the association who have resumed. You're seeing that the the vehicles that usually shuttle lawyers and their clients is also ongoing. You can experience the atmosphere that usually you feel when you get to various law complexes. And so that's what is the atmosphere here at the Human Rights Court here in Accra.
And I'm very much sure that when you got there, you've seen some individuals who are there for to receive justice delivery or to go through the court processes. What have they been telling you following the suspension of the strike?
Okay, I haven't really been able to speak to a lot of them, but from the few that I have spoken to, they are happy to be here. Some of them have submitted their cases to the court few weeks ago, and so they are really excited that after all the stress of coming here and being turned away, they are being allowed inside and activities ongoing, and then their cases are going to be heard. As I speak to you, there are a number of cases that are being heard at the court, and the lawyers are around. Also, I'm here to speak to some of them, but generally from the clients, they are excited that the suspension of the strike has taken effect, as they've always been calling for the suspension. And so they are really excited that their cases are going to be heard.
Many thanks for your time, Akosia Ochre, who is my colleague in the Citi newsroom. She's stationed and monitoring events at some court premises following the suspension of the strike by members of JUSAG. But Jude, what is your final words on this so you can move on to
it's also important to note that the strike has been suspended for 2 weeks. So within the period, if they feel like the negotiation is not going as they expected, they'll go back to the strike. So, I mean, like I said, I would want to reiterate my concern is that government should show the same level of dedication, the same level of commitment during this negotiation period within the 2 weeks. And it's a very difficult time for everybody. I mean, every other sector are going through it because of what our economy has become in quite recently. So I hope that we can reach a logical conclusion on this matter where both parties will meet each other halfway and there'll be progress.
Rightly so. So we hope that government will heed to the cause of the members of JUSAG and that it wouldn't return to the strike now that they've suspended it for 2 weeks, hoping that all negotiations will go on well and they can totally call it off. Let's move away from this story and bring you another one which is also equally troubling. And let's go to Lejukuku, specifically in Teshi, where the MC for the area has said that there would be immediate commencement of rehabilitation works on deplorable roads in the area.
Now, the Lejukuku Municipal Assembly has announced the immediate commencement of rehabilitation works on several inner roads in Teshi. The Assembly says inner roads in Triblo, Lekma to Ajorman Roundabout, Fertilizer Road and Kinkote Road will be rehabilitated immediately. This report has more.
Residents of Teshi can now heave a sigh of relief following the announcement of the immediate rehabilitation works on their inner roads. The announcement made by the Municipal Chief Executive of Lejukuku, Mordecai Kwashi, comes on the back of concerns raised by residents about the deteriorating conditions as they experience damage to their vehicles.
Our roads there is so bad. So bad, I don't know what to compare. Very bad. How roads in here. Oh, since I me betu cow, me who baby amefa. Over to top to smooth sa bra. Oh, so bad. We are now a mechanic shop. Me fuck keep na me journey baby amefa. So bad. Ti yesemo a mo hwe na mo nya bibi fa Teshi kwa nyina mako grade estate. E wo kwa de poto. Enya kra.
We need the road to be fixed. All we are asking for is the road to be fixed. I have visited workshop to change my links 2 times in one single month. So you can see what we are going through as residents. And you know what is surprising is that residents in Greater Estate, we are an organized estate. We pay our property rate, we pay business operating permit, and any basic rate we pay. So why are we not getting what we should get? Just common road. Just recently, Kumewu, Within 2 weeks, roads have been fixed over there. And over here, we have been neglected. It's like a cemetery. It is the potholes are even more than Galamsey site. It's so appalling. Master, we need the road to be fixed.
Expressing confidence in the timely completion of these roadworks during a media briefing, the Municipal Chief Executive, Mordecai Kwashi, outlined the roads that will be rehabilitated.
Government has heard our voice and work has progressed on the road. These roads are all going to be asphalted from Ajoman roundabout right here all the way through to Lekma Hospital will be asphalted. From Ajoman roundabout to First Junction will be asphalted. From Manfi Junction to Yomo Specs on the Kinkote Street, it will also be asphalted. Then from Port all the way to Tribula last stop, that road will also be asphalted. These are the 4 immediate ones that are going to be done.
So for residents of Teshi, they have had promises from various authorities a couple of times, but this time round they want to demand what is due them by getting government to fix the roads. So thousands of them have thronged the roads or have hit the streets of parts in the area to ensure that they register their displeasure about the deplorable roads in the area. We'll go live and speak to my colleague Kennedy Chumesi, who is with the protesters, and find out from him what is happening as at now. Hello, Kennedy. Kennedy, so what can you tell us about the action happening there, the demonstration, what time it started, and what the demonstrators are asking for?
Okay, so Philip, as you can see in your shots, we are currently heading to the Lejokuku Municipal Assembly, where the protesters will be submitting a petition to the Municipal Chief Executive of the Assembly, Mordecai Kwashi. The protesters have a simple demand. They are protesting the poor roads here in the community. They bemoan that the poor roads have made commuting very, very, very difficult for them, for drivers, for residents, to the whole community as a whole. I've visited a lot of the communities here at Teshi. When you talk of Greater Estates, when you talk of Teshi La Scala, when you talk of the Teshi Township itself, when you talk of Teshi Fergs Junction, and among others. And the inner roads there are very, very deplorable. And according to residents, they've made frantic efforts to get the attention of the authorities to heed their demand by fixing or rehabilitating these roads, but it has proved futile. Hence, their last resort is to stage a demonstration to get the attention of the government as a whole to fix their deplorable inner roads for them. So if you can see behind me, they are heading towards the assembly. The assembly is a few meters away from where I'm standing, and you could see the conveners of the assembly. Let me just pick a shot of one of the conveners addressing the protesters.
Maybe ni miniamo etake afe nungwa mano afe la mano ma batasi ni afe ko wono tasi sipa wogbedegbe afe chotomo atagalam say no one pa Mr. President fight. Mr. President, are we not fellow Ghanaians? This is not about politics. This is not about politics. It's all about the youth of Teshi, the concerned youth of Teshi. It's not about politics. It's not about NDC. It's not about MPP. What fire? No, fear. J politics. J politics. Yes, Bami. What the first ni asako gbe akowo drivers and my what ikete kabasibia ne afako ameda ni I have tax your drivers are the one be na kan sika mini akafia Mr. MCE. Mr. President, are we not fellow Ghanaians? Mr. President, are we not fellow Ghanaians? What fight? What does it bear first? Wa back ya tasi. Waka. Wa biaka. Ani kumewu infetasi lo. Shobai.
So that was one of the convener of the protesters. They are basically raising concerns about the poor inner roads in Teshi. Now, one of the major concerns they have also is that Teshi has so many access routes to major communities like Spintex, to Amasaman, and the rest. And if these roads are rehabilitated, it means that it will ease the traffic congestion on the main Lungwa stretch, and people could use the inner roads in Teshi to make their transportation very easy to wherever they want to go. And so these have been their concern, and efforts to get their concerns have put few to our hands. Their last resort, they are heading to the Kuku Assembly. The assembly is few meters away from where we are standing currently, and they'll be submitting a petition to the MCE, Mordecai Akwashi. Earlier on, they submitted a petition to the chief priest of the Teshi community, and he received the petition in good faith and pledged that he would forward their concerns to the appropriate channels. And in about 2 minutes or so, we will reach the municipal, the Lejikuku Municipal Assembly, where they are expecting that the Chief Executive Mordecai Akwashi will receive a petition. But let me just state that yesterday a press conference was held by the Assembly, and they announced the immediate commencement of the roads in the inner roads in Teshi. The Chief Executive made mention that roads from the Ajoman roundabout to Lekma, roads from the Ajoman roundabout to the to Teshi Ferg Junction will all be constructed within 6 months, and we are hoping that these roads will be constructed. The second phase will be that they will be constructing roads in the greater estates, because I visited these communities and the roads there are very, very deplorable. I asked them as to whether they can take the assembly's word for it, since contractors are currently on site, but they indicated that this might be a 9-day wonder, so they need to protest today to show the authorities that they are really serious about their request for the rehabilitation of their wreck. So as you can see in your shot, they are in front of the Mlajokuku Municipal Assembly. Police officers, the security officials are there ensuring law and order, and you can see them chanting youth songs, basically about their quest to get their roads rehabilitated. So as we speak now, we are reaching out to, we are expecting that the assembly will come out, and then the MC will come out to get their concerns. Let me just reach to their convener who is trying to address them.
So, Kennedy Chimeti, many thanks for your time. That is my they want government to fix the inner roads, which are deplorable, and you can see from the shots there that the roads are very deplorable. You know, it's like when the fundamentals are weak, you'll be exposed, and now the rains are in, and they're exposing the bad nature of the roads. But
I've used the Teshi road before, and even the main road that is being done. I mean, you understand from the residents that for some time it had been neglected. There was no work ongoing, and some of the inner roads there are just unimaginable. They are in the worst of shapes possible. So they are not even potholes anymore. These are like manholes, proper manholes, and I want to personally commend the show of resilience and the resolve of the people of Teshi. I mean, Monday, when they gave hints of the demonstration, what we quickly saw was the resources coming together from the district assembly. Then we saw some work
to fix the roads.
Some work commenced on the roads, and they've not bought into it. They feel like that is just a gimmick, really, for government to go back to sleep after a couple of days. So I want to commend them for the show of resilience, for their resolve in pushing. I feel like for countries to prosper, you need citizens to play an active role.
So we should be spectators. We should be citizens, not spectators.
And in being citizens and not spectators, I believe this is one of the ways you can go about it. Peaceful protest to drum home your grievances. And I hope that government who have claimed to be a listening one in recent time will pay heed to some of the concerns they've raised.
And now the protesters are at the Municipal Assembly, hoping that the MCA will receive their petition and any promise that has to be given them will be. But the president has also made mention of the fact that since we have the IMF, the first tranche of the IMF money, some projects that have stalled will be continued. But you are still watching CNR Extra here on Citi TV, still to come. Authors and Publishers Association apologizes for misleading textbook as NACA calls for immediate withdrawal. Stay with us, we'll be back with more stories.
Day 5 of the Heritage Caravan began with a southernward trip to the Savannah region. We got to the capital, Damongo, and traversing through interesting historical locations along the way, eventually the Mole National Park. After a detailed briefing by our tour guide, the caravanites were in high anticipation of seeing wildlife at the park and maybe even a rare sighting. Watch part 1 of the Heritage Caravan Diaries Day 5 every weekday only on Citi TV.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. Let's bring you some more stories. And Authors and Publishers Association, they have apologized for misleading textbooks as NACA has called on them to immediately withdraw those books.
And the Ghana National Association of Authors and Publishers has apologized to the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, the Ministry of Education, and the general public. The apology comes in response to the widespread condemnation of the contents of a publication intended for primary 4 pupils, which many have described as misleading. Consequently, NACA has called for the immediate withdrawal of the controversial textbook titled Indicting Christianity. Our correspondent in the Ashanti region, Fatih Aminu Ibrahim, brings us more in this report.
Parents and various stakeholders have expressed deep disappointment regarding a section in the history of Ghana textbook published by Excellence Publications. They have rightly pointed out that this particular section, which focuses on the negative effects of Christianity, is misleading. Deputy Education Minister Reverend Intim Fojo, who shares the sentiment of dissatisfaction with the content, has described the claims made in the book as obnoxious. The public uproar surrounding this issue has compelled the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to direct the publishers to immediately recall the textbook from the market. This recall is essential to conduct further checks and ensure that the concerns raised by the public are appropriately addressed. In an effort to alleviate public concerns, the Ghana National Association of Authors and Publishers extends an unqualified apology to the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment and all relevant stakeholders who have expressed their legitimate concerns about the publication. John Akwesiam Ponsa, the national president of the association, has addressed the media in Kumasi to address this matter and provide an update.
We accept in good faith the criticism of all stakeholders and render unqualified apology to the Ministry of Education, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, Ghanaian schools, Nananom, the Christian Council of Ghana, and any Ghanaian who might find these statements quite misleading for their children in the classroom.
The association openly acknowledges the oversight on the part of the publisher and is taking proactive measures to prevent a similar occurrence in the future.
We admit in part to the error of adherence to content requirements and the suitability of content for the level for which it was intended. The authors, we admit, should have remained faithful to the demands of the syllabus and stress the impact of Christian missionaries rather than touching on religion as if that was the topic in generality.
To achieve this, the association is establishing a committee dedicated to thoroughly evaluating all books currently available in the market and schools, particularly those published by its members.
The Ghana National Association of Authors and Publishers resolve henceforth to introduce an internal assessment committee to ensure adherence to standards, curriculum, and best international practices.
For parents in particular who have expressed concerns over the content of the said publication, they want relevant authorities to scrutinize various textbooks that have been approved for use in order to ensure that such issue does not recur. For Stinis, Fatih Amin Ibrahim, Kumasi.
The apology has been accepted, but NACA, that is the National Council for...
The apology has been accepted by who?
Oh, but, no, but there's a but to it. Yes, because NACA says that not all the books on the market, that is the textbooks on the market, have been approved by the council, and that these publishers do not go through the right process to get their books on the market. Yesterday, on the point of view, when the Director General of NACA, when he appeared on the show, he noted that these are some of the marketing strategies of the publishers to get the books onto the market. So you see on the books that has been written that
approved curriculum,
by NACA. But no, is it approved? No, it's not be approved. It says it's in accordance with the curriculum.
Someone had approved.
Yes, but what NACA is also saying here is that you have to go through the right process to ensure that these books are approved. They proofread it or they go through the book very well before it's published or before it comes onto the market. Because I think that what the children or students or people consume by way of reading is very important. You may want to either grow them well or pollute them, depending on what
they read. Definitely, what they read is what will stay with them as they go through their educational process. But I see, this is where I have a problem with NACA, right? You say people are feeding the market with curriculum that have not been approved. Now, what are you doing about it as a state agency regulated or in place to regulate?
For NACA, its mandate ends at proofreading or ensuring that the right thing is out. But the NACA cannot go onto the market and ensure that this book is out or this book is
once you realize that there's a gap or there's a leakage in the system, you should be at the forefront of advocating for a policy change. So it is not enough that NACA says that my duty ends here, because at the end of the day, it's the wholesome feeding of the students, right? So it's not enough to say that, well, it ends once it gets into the market, or mine is not to check what gets into the market. I think it is a role they have to play to ensure that at the end of the day, we are looking at the wholesome growth of the Ghanaian students, right? What they feed, what they read, what they study, and what they are imbibing or what their teachers are imbibing in them. Well, you can say that by extension, the GS have a role to play. That is a fair argument. But I'm saying that NACA should not be only concerned with checking the curriculum, but they should also find a way to make sure that what goes out, I mean, it's like running a hospital or running a pharmacy. and selling medication. Someone has some other pharmacy somewhere that is not being regulated.
But you can't control what someone sells outside.
And the person is selling the medication in your name. You owe it to the public.
Well, you just tell the public that they are fake ones, so when they go out there,
you leave it there.
Check.
So you take steps. No, you take steps to report it to the police. Or I mean, you should be interested. It's like saying you are not concerned, because it's like saying you are indifferent that somebody is tarnishing.
Yeah, but NACA's mandate doesn't get there.
The concern,
and the more reason why Angel Kabono, who is the
NAGRAT's
president, made mention of the fact that this thing can be resolved if we have NACA approved books on the market.
I mean, I agree with the position NACA has taken on this, but like I'm saying, it's a very easy position to take. But if you want to do the hard work of making sure that we are addressing this problem, that is people putting out unwholesome information or feeding our kids or kids in Ghanaian schools with unwholesome information, then the responsibility of NACA should not end with just saying that we have gone through the curriculum and have proved this, but they should be also interested in what people are saying in their name. And I believe that it involves a lot of hard work. For which reason, some people will not want to take it as additional responsibility. But like I'm saying, it's about time we review a lot of things in education, starting with that. Yesterday on the Point of View show, where Bernard and his guest, that's Dr. Apak, Angel Kabono, and Professor Pierre delved into it. I mean, Dr. Apak, MP for Busa South, also
ranking member on the
Education Committee, came up with another book that I've seen for the first time, where apparently the publisher was listing major political and historical events that had happened in the country from the time the Portuguese arrived up until Nanado's tenure as president.
John Mahama was out of
and there was no mention whatsoever about John Mahama's tenure as president in Ghana. I mean, and these are the kind of things on the market. So like I'm saying, see, it's easy to say that our role ends with making sure that we review the curriculum, and whatever happens, we don't care. But I'm saying that once people are selling in your name and putting all sorts of marketing gymnastics and gimmicks in the name of NACA, you owe it to the unsuspecting Ghanaian public. I'm coming. Let me just end. NACA owes it to the unsuspecting Ghanaian public and parents, some of whom are not literate enough to know the difference, to go out and fight in the interest of these people, to make sure that these publishers are brought to book one way or the other. And maybe they might need the help of the GES and the Ministry of Education to do that. But I'm saying that NACA should be the lead in pushing for these reforms.
Rightly so. So the publishers are also supposed to do the right thing, because if you are putting out a book onto the market, or you are putting out a book for children to read, you should put out the right information so that you don't mislead them. Well, they are the future leaders of this country, so whatever they consume is very important. Away from this story, and the Interior Minister has urged police to swiftly apprehend perpetrators of attack on immigration officers in Boko. Let's bring you that insight.
Now, the Minister of Interior, Ambrose Derry, has called on the Ghana Police Service to expedite investigations and bring perpetrators of an attack on immigration officers at Boku to book. Now, Chief Director at the Ministry of Interior, who represented the sector minister at a ceremony to honor 4 immigration officers for rescuing their colleagues during the attack, also expressed the government's commitment in retooling the immigration service to discharge their mandate. We have more in this report by Citi News' Daniel Sakite and read to you by Anne Shirley Ziu.
Boku in recent times has been a hotbed for protracted conflicts, which has led to heightened security concerns in the area. This has led government to deploy members of the various security agencies to the township to deal with the challenges. On April 3, unknown gunmen attacked 3 immigration officers in Boku as their vehicle was shot at. The shooting incident resulted in the death of 42-year-old immigration officer, Assistant Inspector Philip Mote.
In the evening of 3rd April 2023, at about 1951 hours, Chief Superintendent Michael Breu Ampofu received a distress call from Assistant Inspector Eric Afari, one of the officers who came under attack. He only said, "Sir, we have been shot. Come and pick us." Apparently, unknown gunmen had fired several shots at their vehicle, killing Assistant Inspector Philip Morty.
The rescue operation by the 4 immigration officers, after receiving the distress call, resulted in 2 lives being saved. At a ceremony to honor the immigration officers for their intervention, the Chief Director at the Ministry of Interior, Adelaide Ano Kumi, on behalf of the Sector Minister, commended the immigration officers for their bravery while calling on the police to bring perpetrators of the crime to book.
Collaboration among security agencies was highly exhibited during this crisis. We should continue to be each other's keeper and support, and continue to exhibit the camaraderie spirit. Let us work collaboratively for the benefit of our country, Ghana. Furthermore, I urge the Ghana Police Service to expedite efforts in the investigation to bring the perpetrators to the crime to book. On this note, I congratulate the newly promoted officers and reiterate government's commitment to resource the Ghana Immigration Service to perform its legal mandate.
The Controller General of the Immigration Service, Kwame Eswatichi, also speaking at the event, indicated that the 4 immigration officers have been promoted to their next ranks. He further criticized attacks on security personnel.
With the approval of the Governing Council and the management of the service, we are promoting these brave and gallant men to their next ranks as a matter of honor to them. And the way of encouraging more of such selfless intervention in the face of danger. Crimes are enemies of our collective peace, our prosperity, and the territorial sanctity of this country. The worst sin that can be committed against any state is the killing of the very men and women who have dedicated their lives in fighting crimes and protecting them. I will therefore use this opportunity to call on all parties to the ongoing conflict in Baku to reconsider who their true enemy is.
Meanwhile, one of the promoted immigration officers, Assistant Commissioner of Immigration, Michael Brewu Ampofu, who was in the heart of the rescue operation of their colleague who was attacked, in an interview with the media said the new promotion brings to them additional responsibility.
The award given us, I will not say is an award, but I'll crave your indulgence to say that it is an additional responsibility to some of us, because day in, day out, as officers, when we are promoted from one rank to the other, it is an additional responsibility which is a paradigm shift in your behavior, your operations, your attitude towards work, how you respond to such calls.
So the Immigration Service is asking the police to quickly apprehend the perpetrators in that attack there of an officer in Boko. I think it's a very sad one, but also what is happening in Boko too, I think is because in there, the Comptroller General said that they should ensure that the issue in Boko is resolved once and for all.
Yeah, Philip, I want to start by commending these brave immigration officers who came into the help of, who came in to help one of their own when he was under attack, as we heard in the reports. The show of bravery is worth commending. And also, I mean, the story of the late immigration officer, Philip Morty, who was killed in Boko, I mean, it's unfortunate, it's sad, very heart-wrenching. When the issue broke, I told you about how someone who was quite close to him was on my contact list, and every now and then, even up until today, you see the person still mourning the loss of this fallen serviceman. So it's very painful, especially when you have to discuss stories of people or servicemen and women who lose their life as a result of putting themselves in harm's way for our sake. what was his crime as an immigration officer? He was on patrol duties. He was serving in the interest of his countrymen and women, and that led to his demise. So it's always difficult to talk about, very heart-wrenching, but we hope that the family will find some solace in these very difficult times. And of course, we want to commend the immigration service also for, like I said, the officers who came to their aid of their colleague.
The rescue.
And finally, we heard that call that from the Interior Minister, whose speech was read on his behalf by someone, I believe, from the ministry.
Adelaide Ano-Okumi.
Yes, I think it's a very important call. We need our service agencies to be working together, and we want to, I believe that the police they've been on top of their game ever since this new IGP came around. I hope that they are able to continually work in the interest of us as a people, and this challenge to go after the killers of the late immigration officer, I hope they are able to put in the necessary investigations.
But in its entirety, it's about asking for calm in the Boku Township. We know that as at now, the issue has used a little. There is some level of seniority there, or some sort of calmness there in the area. But we hope that that is going to be the situation for a very long time, and eventually the situation, the conflict amongst the two factions will be addressed.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's our hope and prayer that some peace will prevail in the area. I mean, in recent times, we've not heard or seen stories that of the place getting out of hand or getting out of control. So we hope that whatever efforts and strategies our security agencies are putting in place to calm tensions and to allow for peace to prevail in the area, they keep up the good work they are doing and ensure that it gets back to life, gets back to normality really as possible in the Boku area. So kudos Immigration Service. We want to also appeal to the police to speed up the investigation work that led to the demise of the former immigration officer.
So when the conflict is resolved in Boku, certainly all activity there, that is teaching and learning, will bounce back. The nurses who, some of them had to flee the town, will also come back. Other activities that are needed in the community will also bounce back. So what is expected of us all is to ensure that the conflict in the Boku Township ends. This is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Philip Nilachi. I did this with Jude Mensah Duncan. Many thanks for your time always, and keep watching Citi TV.